Graduates, congratulations. You completed your journey at UAT, and we are so very proud of you. Over the last several years, you've been part of our community. We've watched you grow. We've shared stories and events and times together. It's been marvelous. Now, as you go forward, I want you to remember one thing. You are always UAT, and we are always here for you. Congratulations.
Welcome, everyone, to the UAT 2016 commencement. I love saying that every year, although it changes year from year to year. It's wonderful that you're here today. This is a terrific day, and we've got a wonderful afternoon planned for you. As we get started, I'm going to do a few introductions and welcomes. I want to begin by saying welcome to the families and friends who support our graduates for all these years. We're so honored and happy you're with us today. For those families and friends and members of the community who are watching us on our online streams, welcome as well. It warms us that you're with us too. For the teachers and staff of UAT who are with us today, you are wonderful. You know, this week is National Teacher Appreciation Week, and I think that's very right and appropriate in that the work that teachers do to bring adults to this place is some of the best work that we do in this world. So thank you. We are blessed for your work. I also want to welcome the people joining us in the dais. They all play a role in the university. I'll begin at this end with our honorary doctorate recipients. At the end is Mr. Brad Janengen, who is the CEO of WebPT. Please rise. Next to him is Mr. Jeff Moss. He is our cyber expert and known as Dark Tangent on the internet. Please rise. We then have Dr. Natasha Vittamore, who oversees our graduate studies. We have the chairman of our board, Mr. Jay Lohman. Director Dominic Pastillo. Director Jason Funk. And our president and guiding thought leader, Mr. Jason Pastillo. I'm Dr. David Bolman, the provost of the UAT, and I'll be guiding you through this afternoon. Welcome again. We've got a wonderful commencement for you. If you haven't been to a UAT commencement before, what you're going to find quickly is it's unlike any you've ever been to. As a starting spot, what you're going to see is an incredible amount of technology throughout the entire event. You can see all the glowing lights. If you look in your program, each of those lights corresponds to a program that the students are graduating from, and the badges do something special. And this is one of just several things you're going to see that sort of exposes you to the kind of tech that our students do routinely every single day at UAT. It's a wonderful thing, and I hope you enjoy the afternoon. Now, the reality is that probably for everybody in this room right now, we have been spending all morning getting ready for this. And this is such a big stakes moment that there's a lot of nervous energy in the air. And as the MC, it is sort of my duty to dissipate that a little bit through some truly awful jokes. I want to begin with this. That, you ever wonder why students are really slow to sign up for an autonomous robotics class? Because the rumor is the professors just drone on and on and on. My apologies, Mark. Duct tape? Duct tape is an awful lot like the Force. The reason why? It has a light side and a dark side, and it binds the galaxy together. Obi-Wan and Luke go to a Chinese restaurant, and they sit down, and Obi-Wan, of course, being a Jedi Master, he's just chomping away, he's eating away, he's doing fine. Luke grabs some food with a chopstick, and it falls down, does it again, falls down, and finally Obi-Wan says, "Enough! Use the fork, Luke, use the fork." So, what do you get when a Jedi, with one stroke of his lightsaber, reaches out and skewers Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Grand Leader Snoke, and the Emperor all at once? A Sith kebab. And finally, because most of you are going to go out this weekend and see Civil War, did you hear that the Hulk has finally been hired by Google for advertising purposes? He's going to go ahead and just labeled up on the whole thing. And the reason is Google realized that basically he's a giant banner. You know, I've never had applause for this before. All right, so we've replaced nervousness with awkwardness, and so let me kick things off. You know, over the course of your studies, graduates, you know, there have been a number of times I've talked to you, but as I was thinking about today, I remember the time when you all came into the theater, and it was the beginning of Connect. And I stood and talked to you for a little bit about what it was that you would need to know, besides the tech, that was going to make you successful and get you to here at graduation. And I talked about, you know, the obvious things. Show up for class, you know, turn in your homework, get to know your faculty, take advantage of the tech, join teams, join projects. So today, what I want to do is have the same kind of a conversation with you about what happens next. And here's what I want to do. I want to give you some ideas and some thoughts that I want you to think about for the next decade or so of your life. These are things I've noticed in graduates in the tech community make a profound difference in success. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the idea of bravery. One of the things that I'd like to ask you to do as you go forward is to consciously be brave. It can be big brave, it could be little brave, but I want you to be brave. And here's the first reason. You are well prepared for it. You spent the last several years of your academic career gaining the tech skills, the teaming skills, the creation skills, the innovation skills, everything you need to do tech creations. But the bigger reason why I want you to be brave is that the tech community desperately needs you to be so. You are entering the world right now at a place where you have an incredible infrastructure, an infrastructure that no other generation could have imagined, waiting for you to create wonderful things with it. And it will take you to be mindful to create with it. Now, I would argue that for all of you as you go forward in life, you're going to have change moments and things that happen that are going to force you to make decisions. And so if it helps you with being brave, I'd say you're going to have to make decisions no matter what you do. If that's the case, why not choose the things you truly want to do? Now, the one big holdback on that is it's very easy in the comfort of this theater to say, be brave. Now go, leave. But it's another thing when you're sitting in your life to be brave. And there's a reason for that. It's hard. It feels awkward. You know, and in fact, there's biological reasons. There's little things in our brain that's been with us forever that are there designed specifically to keep us from being eaten by large cats with giant teeth. That whenever things put us out there and feel a little dangerous, they say, be careful. Ignore them. You're not going to be eaten by a giant cat, I promise. There's a quote that most of us have heard from Franklin Delano Roosevelt that begins like this. It says, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Most of us know it. Most of us don't know the next line. The next line is, "The unreasoning, terrifying, unrational fear that paralyzes us is the block of all our advances. Leaders who are frank in their understanding of this and put energy to go forward anyway overcome it." And while he was speaking about American society in the brink of World War II, this applies to tech. As you go forward, be brave. Yes, there's going to be moments that are going to be a little like you don't know what to do with it. But if you advance and think about it and recognize your caution can be overcome and thought through, you will do great things. And that's exactly what our two on-docs have done in different areas. I'll talk more about it later. But in the end, one is in the tech space and the other is in cyber. But both of them had moments in their careers where they saw there is a need here that I can make a difference with. And even though it is scary, and even though right here in my gut, it may not feel quite perfect, I'm going to go ahead. That's what I challenge you to do. Now, that being said, it would be wistful thinking to say that just go be brave. We're there for you, and you're going to be great. It's not true. A lot of bravery doesn't work out so well. Tons of it doesn't. There's a lot of failure out there. But there is a known strategy to overcome it. And that strategy is to plan and be patient. Now, if you think about bravery, I'll tell you a story that took place about 100 years ago. And this is true, like adventure story bravery. And it's told by one of my favorite researchers, it's an individual named Dr. Jim Collins, who studies why things succeed and don't succeed. And what he does is he finds two events and two situations that are exactly the same at the start, but one wins and another one doesn't. And he tries to find out what's different. And he saw an event 100 years ago that was about the discovery or the humans getting to the South Pole. And there were two teams doing it. One was a Brit named Scott, and another was a Norwegian named Amundsen. They'd left at the same time in the same conditions. But at the end of the journey, the Brits were all popsicles. Not a single one survived. Norwegian team got it done early, and everyone survived. And the difference was that Amundsen, as he let out, planned. He recognized that you can be brave, and that's wonderful, but if you don't do some investigation, you're likely to fail. So what he did was he studied the landscape, which in tech terms would be, if you've got an idea for something that's tech, look what the landscape is. Talk to the people who use the tech. He went out and he created contingencies. If point A doesn't work, what about point B? So he always moves forward. And then along the way, he made sure they always made progress. And that is an important thing I want to say to you. And I think that our on-docs can attest to, as they've done entrepreneurial tech things, is that as you move forward, the pathway to being brave is to recognize you are the sum of your incremental efforts. And if you plan for contingency and you work ahead bit by bit, you will likely get there. It may not be the there you exactly thought it was at the start. It may not be exactly when. But as companies like Google and Apple and Netflix and every tech company out there would certainly back up, you get there just the same as long as you think ahead, you're not foolish, and you plan for contingencies. Now, the third thing that I would say to you as advice for success is to be good. Just be good. And, I don't exactly mean good in the way that it's hey, back remember when our parents dropped us off at school and they used to wave us goodbye and say, hey, make good choices? It's a little like that. But when I say be good, the thing that I'm saying to you first is don't be a jerk. It's like as you go through life, you're going to have plenty of moments every hour where you can actively choose to say the right thing, hold back the negative thing, communicate the right thing, help somebody, not throw somebody under a bus. You can do that. And over the course of your lifetime, it will add up. Now, the interesting thing about this is that just like there's a little thing in our brain that sometimes you wish wasn't there that keeps us wanting to run away from fictional, saber-toothed tigers, there's a little thing in our brain sometimes that's our darker self. And some days we're just having a bad mood and we want to be snarky. And we won't be what we desire to be in terms of being good. It's okay. If you are someone who has a reputation of being, good 99% of the time, it'll work out. And what's more, something you're going to find in your life as you go from this line of sight of where you are now to this line of sight that you develop over the course of your entire life journey, you're going to see that, your effectiveness at doing the right thing constantly is, I'd like to say it's 70% in your 20s, maybe a little lower. It's okay. It gets better in your 30s. It gets better in your 40s. By the time it gets better as you practice it. And what will happen is you will build a reputation of being somebody in the tech space that people want to work with. And what I will say, as we've talked about throughout your entire academic journey, is that teaming has become the most important augment alongside pure technical knowledge. And you want to be that. The second piece of being good that I would ask you to think about and work hard at is figure out what you're about. It's a little hard to say right now as you're getting ready to leave college, but something you will develop through your actions, whether you intend it or not, is values. You will create a set of things that you choose are what you're about. And when I say values, I'm not talking global values. I mean, obviously, we've got social values of, like don't hit people in the crosswalk with your car, it's mean. It violates the first goodness rule. But what will happen is, as you go forward in your life, you will develop the things you care about. And if you think about it, you will know what those are. And they will shape what it is you create. It won't be clear for you for a little bit. But if you think about what you like and what you don't like, and what you think is right and what you don't think is right, and make that into your tech will be an extension of you that people value because it is part of you. And that's incredibly important. And the last piece of good is this idea of tech doesn't happen spontaneously. You have to give back to it. All of you are here because you spent time, you had the support of families and friends and mentors. There are likely individuals who are in your middle school and your high school who brought you forward and helped you out. As you go forward, you will need to give that back. And you do it already. This spring, there were wonderful moments where UAT hosted code camps for middle schoolers, which are profoundly important because that's reshaping who enters the tech space. And the number of times I saw students like Austin, there all night working with middle schoolers to help them code, that's the model to carry forward for your entire life. The tech space needs you as you move forward and you've mastered one set of skills and go to the next, to mentor the people behind you and foster the tech space, because we need the tech space. It is the single driving piece of what US is about right now. So you have to get back to it. So really, there's 3 things I'm talking about. Be brave, practice, work on your contingencies, and be good, okay? Now, I tried to think of some kind of clever mnemonic for that. The closest I got for that was Batman pays for gas. And so, if that sticks with you, roll with it. But that idea of being brave, being patient, and being good, that's when it'll carry you forward. And I challenge you that if you're mindful with this and you work on this and you cultivate this, there is going to be a moment in your life, a decade, 2, 3, it's hard to predict, where you're going to be sitting down with a group of friends and you're going to be talking. And I suspect you'll have a moment where your brain's going to kick in and you're going to pull yourself out a little bit and you're going to put your life in perspective. And what you'll see is that you have behind you this incremental legacy of great tech that you've created and people that you've influenced. And what's more, the people you're sitting with, if that version of you were to cast itself back to this version of you, you would realize that people you sit with are incredibly interesting and are frankly the heroes you had when you left college. And what's wonderful about that is the people you sit with look at you and say that you are the hero they thought of when they left college. When you get to that place, and you will get there, I want you to do something. Reach out to UAT. We've been there to support you. You are UAT for now and forever. We want to hear your stories, and we absolutely want to celebrate you in that moment as much as we celebrate you today. Congratulations, graduates.